If you guys caught my video last week, you guys know that I purchased a 2022 Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive with the LFP battery. And in that video, I was breaking down some of the costs associated, and I came down to this conclusion. First and foremost, the fuel savings are incredible. I'll go ahead and throw up a couple graphics up here just to illustrate this. But honestly, really more to show that I could have saved even more had I just installed a level 2 fast charger at my house before buying the car. So I started the long process to try to find what charger I should buy. I did have some very specific criteria over what I wanted. First and foremost, I wanted something that would let me charge to 40 amps and above, and realistically just to be future-proof in case I do find myself buying a Model S or Model X in the future. Something that was convenient for the car that I have currently, something that looked great on the wall, and something that had a long enough cord to where if I was anywhere in the garage, I'd be able to charge from there. Ultimately, breaking it down by good, better, best allowed me to really sift through what's out there in a more efficient manner. There's a lot of options that are out there that'll fit the criteria that I just listed before. And honestly, there are a lot of great chargers out there that are well reviewed. But narrowing it down, trying to find exactly what works best for me, I found it best to kind of limit the noise and just narrow it down to 3 options. For me, my good option was the Tesla mobile connector with the NEMA 1450 adapter. Now, I could have done this was the cheapest option based on what I currently have, but I didn't want to do it just because I didn't think it looked that great personally, at least the way that it would have been installed. And that matters to me because it's going to be stationary and visible, and as we're kind of finishing up our garage, I want to make sure that whatever's in there feels final. Also on top of that, what I didn't really like about it is that I'd have to keep on unplugging it from the wall. I do take this with me pretty often whenever I go to my parents' house, just because it's easier to charge from their garage than trying to find any of the public chargers in the area. In my better spot, I had the Grizzl-E. I mean, if you look up anywhere where this charger is sold, it gets very good reviews because it just works. It's really great also because it does let you hook it up in 2 different ways. You can either have it hooked up through a NEMA 1450, or you could also have it hardwired to your panel, just like a lot of other chargers on the market. Another thing that's really nice about it too is that it does have a 24-foot cord, which is perfect, and I actually think it's the longest of the ones I was considering. At the top of my list is the Tesla wall connector. I don't think it comes as a surprise. In my opinion, it is one of the best looking EV chargers on the market, and honestly, it just works the best with my car. Being able to, just from the charger, open the charge door, plug it in, move on with life, I think is really beneficial. And it just kind of is one less thing that I have to worry about, like having my phone in the app to open the charge door. It sounds small, but things like that make the process a little bit better, in my opinion. Also, just from an efficiency standpoint, it is one of the highest performing chargers at 48 amps. So what's really great is if you install it on a 60 amp breaker, you can take advantage of that. The only thing is currently today, my car actually won't even take advantage of that 48 amps. However, this is more of a future-proofing step, so later down the line, if we do get a car that can take advantage of that, we don't have to worry about having an electrician come out there or looking at a different solution that may work better at the time. So after deciding it would work best for me, I was able to find an electrician who could hook up my new wall connector within 24 hours. And thankfully, I even had enough space to go ahead and run a 60 amp breaker in my panel. And even though the install was great, I did run into a little bit of a small problem. So we'd recently just purchased our home and our garage has been a little bit of a mess. So we're kind of trying to figure out how to organize it better, but I don't have that much room to securely back up. So when I tried plugging in the charger for the first time, the cable wasn't long enough. So I had to really just drape it over the car and ultimately realized that I just need to clean out the garage to be able to back and park. It's just going to be the easiest solution. Then I don't have to worry about the wires if I park on either side of the garage. And really it wouldn't have been that much of an issue, but my Project 335i that's not currently running was in the way. So we had to push that out and it was just kind of a mess. So after about an hour and a half of pushing that car back and forth, we came back to look at the car and it was charging exactly like it was supposed to, at about 12 kilowatts after an hour and 30 minutes. Breaking down my full kind of all-in cost, there isn't much to it. You really have to just take the price of the charger and the price of the install. So I was luckily able to get my Gen 3 connector on Facebook Marketplace brand new in box for $300. Which is awesome, and it helped lower the cost and kind of offset at least some of the install, which is the most expensive part at $750. And it does cover the labor and the parts. Luckily, mine was a little less expensive than it should have been, just because I installed it right next to the panel. So a lot of the cost associated is really dependent on how close or how far you are to the panel. So all in, I was at about $10.50. So yeah, that was basically my process of picking out an EV charger. Honestly, there's just so many options out on the market today and so much nuance in between each of them, and it really just depends on what you want to do with it and how it's going to, kind of fit in with your setup. And, there's a lot to consider, and if you really wanted a more, scientific breakdown of how this process works, I really recommend checking out State of Charge on YouTube. Really great, specifically like EV charger breakdowns that can really help with more of the technical side of it. But as a new kind of EV owner, this is just what my process has been, and I'm sure that a lot of you will go through the same process as well. So if you guys liked that video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And if you feel so inclined, leave a comment down below if you had any experiences during your time buying an EV charger, and if there's anything that maybe I didn't cover or didn't have happen to me, so I wouldn't really have thought to cover it. Other than that, take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.